Let's get started. Welcome, everybody. This is our third or fourth meeting. I'm sure I should know that. And basically, the outline is I'd like to just make sure that everyone is aware of what we're doing here for safety measures. And secondly, the online option, some information on that, if that's of interest to people. We can look at our calendar because that seems to have come together. And we'll answer questions and address any needs that anybody has. And we have some other developments in terms of our schedule is coming together as well. As I've started every meeting with, the first thing to recognize is that the only constant is change. What I thought I knew this morning has changed. And it could change again tomorrow. But what I'm going to be sharing with you is what we know right now. And I hope that helps. That's all. So we have made a video. Chris Smeckel, who's our technology teacher, has made a video of what it's like for a child to come to school and what kind of things they're going to be living with. So if you have a child that you think would enjoy watching that, we're going to do that in about 4 minutes. So you can round up your kids if it'd be something they want to join. So in 4 minutes, we're going to show that video. Let me see. We now have a pretty firm idea as of today. So school will start on the 19th. We will have the 19th, which is a Wednesday, the 19th and the 20th, and then the following week, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And those will be half days. So we'll be finishing somewhere after we feed everybody lunch, which should be around 1:15. Once we have that number, we'll be sending out an email. I believe Mr. Blackburn sent out a message today that highlighted some of that. But if that's the first time you've heard it, that's what we're going to be planning on doing. The reason we're doing that is because I see some of our kids there. Oh my gosh. Hi, you guys. So the reason we're doing that is we're trying to get the kids back in the building as quickly as we can, as safely as we can. Safety is the primary concern. Secondly, we'd like to get them back. We recognize that we have so many new rules and ideas to share that the first several days are going to be learning how to do things and what we're going to be doing during the day and how to do it safely. So the half days then allow the teachers at the end of a day to go, wow, this is working, or wow, this isn't working, and we can adjust. And I have no doubt we're going to have some of that happening. We'll start the video in 2 minutes, just so we're tuned into that. So that's the reason we're doing that is we can't say at the moment that if we have to go to a situation where we, for instance, go online, we're not completely ready for that. But here at Longfellow, we're ready to get our students back and welcome them back to school. So that's why we have that kind of flex. Keep in mind, we start on a Wednesday. The following Thursday will be what's called our first online practice day. And that's when we'll try out some programming and see who has connections and all the things that it took us a while to figure out. So that takes care of our schedule in terms of the calendar. There's been a couple little changes in terms of the daily schedule at school. Obviously, those first 5 half days, that'll be a very different schedule than we've had before, but that'll all work out. I think we're ready to give this thing a try. Is that true? Mr. Lapp? Okay, let's run it. Did you recognize some of those places on the playground and stuff? Nod your head if you did, because I get to see your faces. That's so cool. Thank you. I'd like to introduce Missy Tanner, who's our school nurse, and she's going to just follow up with some more information on what we're doing for safety measures. Missy?
Let me turn the volume up on my computer here real quickly, just so everyone can hear me well. So hi, everybody. We are just all saying in the office how excited we are to see all of your faces, and we can't wait to have you back in our building. That's going to be so fun. I just want to, I guess my hope is that after seeing that video, you realize that we are really thinking about our staff and our students from the moment they get here at school. And a piece that we really need to bring you on board with, again, is that piece in the morning, checking in with your kiddo. If your kids have temperatures or fevers that are greater than 100.4, if they're having any symptoms of illness, that you guys are just keeping your kids home from the start. And we are going to send home some kind of checklists that you'll be able to reference as you're talking to your kiddos in the morning, but I can't stress to you how much we need your help in that and keeping your kids home. That's going to keep us operating and keep us going. But as soon as the kids come to the door, we're going to start getting that hand hygiene in place. We're going to use hand sanitizer, as you saw at the doorways. Get them in the classroom. We're going to check temperatures at the doorways, main doorways, but we're also going to check that and follow up in the classrooms. We're going to be checking symptoms and asking them a little bit about that. And then getting their hands washed again, if you can believe it, because again, hand washing with soap and water is the best practice. That's the best way to keep those germs away. So we're going to incorporate all of those pieces throughout the day. The staff are going to be wearing masks. Again, we're going to be really encouraging kiddos that want to wear their masks when they're here at school as well. Mr. McKenna's talked a lot about the ventilation system and the new HEPA filters to help us circulate fresh air every about 10 minutes, which is really going to help keep our air clean. Going to do everything we can to keep those kids physically distanced while really working on those relationships. We know how important that is in elementary school. So we're going to do our best with that for sure. Again, you probably saw in the lunchroom, there were kids at different tables, and we're going to do our best to include those cohort classrooms in all areas, in specials, at recess, and at lunch, to keep those kids together in their classroom cohorts. And then even at the end of the day, we're just working on those plans today and what that looks like. So stay tuned. Mr. McKenna will get us the information as soon as possible. But at the end of the day, we even want to make sure that our kids are, physically distanced, that our parents are physically distant, that we're just keeping all of those measures in place throughout our school day. So I probably babbled on a lot. Feel free to use the chat if you have questions for me or for Mr. McKenna. Anything else, Mr. McKenna, you'd like me to touch on?
I think we're okay. Thank you.
Oh, wait, one more nurse plug while I've got you. Probably mostly for kindergarten students, because the other students should be fairly up to date on their immunizations. But I know definitely during that quarantine time, it was difficult to be in seeing your provider for those routine checkups and immunizations. But I can't stress enough how important it is to make sure that those kids are up to date on immunizations before the school year begins, if possible. And the doctors are ready to go to see your kiddos to get that done. Thank you.
Thank you, Missy. We've had this wonderful amount of planning, and our school nurse, Missy Tanner, has been involved in it right from the beginning. And we almost have a joke now that we always have our masks on, of course. And if I say something and her eyes get big, then I know I've gone out on a limb. And so in this situation, she's in the office here, and if something happens and she comes and knocks on the door, my eyes will get big, and you'll know that there's something happening that way. So I have two questions that have come in already that I'd like to say. So first of all, that video will be available online to share, and we will send that link out in an email flash here probably tomorrow morning. I don't know if we'll have time to get to it tonight, but we'll be sharing that. I'll also be including in a email flash that will be coming out here as soon as I have the information. We're going to have a new website for Longfellow that'll just share all the pertinent information that we can share on starting the new school year. So when that comes out, I'll send you that link. This video will also be on that link, and then we'll have as much information as we can about all the preparations we're doing and all the things that we have in place. They keep changing. We had our first professional development today with the teachers in the building, and it was lovely to have them back. And they're walking through all these protocols themselves. So they came in the front door of the school and they had to get their hand sanitizers, and they had their temperature checked, and they were checked for symptoms. And then they washed their hands, and then we asked them to sit down, and they were acting like a bunch of students, some of them. They actually, you know, were doing different kinds of things, but it was a great learning experience for all of us of like, here's how we get used to what's going to happen when we get everybody back. So that'll be a very exciting time, and we'll be learning from that as we go. Here's what's happening with teacher assignments and when we're going to be able to post the list. Our numbers are changing every day. In fact, in the last 8 hours, we had a pretty dramatic change of what people are deciding. I want to emphasize that everybody has a choice that they need to make what's best for their own family, right? So if you hear everything that we're doing and you still feel that it's going to be really good for your child to go online, we've been sending that online link out regularly. We now have a link for people that want to commit to online to make that commitment. One of the things that's happened is we had class lists ready to go 3 weeks ago. And then we started hearing there was a lot of people interested in online learning. And so those changed the class list. And now we're getting more and more information about who's committing to being face-to-face with us and who's going online. So this is a long answer to a simple question. When are you going to get your assignments? First deadline for the online program is this Sunday on the 16th. We will be spending Monday finalizing the lists. I don't think we're going to have the cohorts. A lot of people are saying, which cohort am I going to be in if we go to the yellow program? Am I going to be a Monday, Tuesday, or a Wednesday, Thursday person? And who's going to be? We're trying to coordinate that so all the families are on the same cohort and that we have different needs in classrooms and, you know, honoring as many requests as we can on that. That probably won't come out right away. However, the class list should be posted by Monday night or Tuesday night, and we'll send an email out, a flash to say, here's what we're doing. And I realize the teachers don't get the list until the same time, so they're trying to prepare their classrooms, and they're distressed because, oh my gosh, how do I prepare without that? But we'll have those assignments posted, and that'll give you what you need at that point. And thank you once again for the patience you've all shown and the support and the understanding as we keep changing and trying to adapt. The teachers gave us feedback today that we're going to address again tomorrow and say, okay, you made some good points and some good questions, and we're going to change again and make this as done as well as we can. So what time do the kindergarten kids need to be there in the morning? I believe we have an entry schedule plan worked out. Missy, nod your head if you agree with that. Okay, good, we do. Basically, we are starting at the same time we've always started. So we're going to start accepting kids into the building around 7:45. What that means is if the question is what time should the kindergarten kids be there in the morning, we're going to have people, you're going to arrive at school, you can walk your child up to the school, and then we will have someone that welcomes them and brings them into school. For the sake of safety and the spread of the virus, adults will not be coming into the school, but we'll have somebody there to welcome them. And yep, and bring them in and get them to their classrooms. When they arrive at the school, just what the video just showed, right? We're going to go through that routine every morning. So the kindergarten kids can be here at the same time. So if they're here by 7:45, we will start that process of bringing them in.
7:45. Get them to school at 7:45.
I hope that answered your question. When will we be knowing when we are going to full days? We are planning on starting on the 19th, and there it is. That's a Wednesday. The 20th is a Thursday. We go the following Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, the 24th, 25th, and 26th in half days. Thursday is our first planning day for what it's going to be like to go home and have assignments either online or some way of working from home, and the teachers can organize that. Then the teachers are back on the 28th to plan some more. So the 31st is our first full day. That's from then on, there we go, game on. And again, as Missy Tanner just reminded you, for us to do this well, we're going to follow our protocols as cleanly as we can and be as on that as possible. One of the important things is, though, if your child is feeling any of the symptoms, and that'll be sent out to you and it'll be posted as well, then they need to stay home and let us know that. And I recognize, for heaven's sake, what an inconvenience that's going to be and how hard that's going to be for us. But if a child shows up at school and has symptoms, we're going to send them home. The idea is to be as safe as we possibly can. Keep in mind, I keep watching the national news and all the stuff that's going on. We are following the advice of our local experts, our medical community, and public health. We're stable here in Salida. And as long as we're stable, we can't have everybody in the building. And even though you watch these nightmare pictures of what's going on in some schools and cities around the country, I think we can do this here in Salida. Let me see. We can't buy Lysol wipes. They're not in stock. What should we do? Oh my. Yep, you can't. And we have a lot of Lysol wipes to start the school year off. The district bought a whole bunch. If they come available, you know, and you feel like you can get some to send in, we're going to use them. The hand sanitizer, we're going to go through a lot of hand sanitizer too, right? Herman has posted the link to the video in the chat. So if you look in the chat, you'll be able to see where that link is. You can copy it and then watch that to your heart's content. That was, wasn't that sweet? I like that video. Let me see, will you email the class lists out or will they be posted at the school? One of the big things we have to be really respectful of is that we're maintaining confidentiality. The guidelines we have got up to this point is to post it online isn't a smart idea. So at this point, they're going to be posted at the school. And again, we will let you know when that is going to happen and at what time. Alrighty? And we'll have it spread out in a whole bunch of tables or posted across the front of the school so that there won't have to be any gathering and people can keep their social distancing. And I trust that you would come with masks on, even since you're going to be around more people. Let me see.
Are they required to know who their teacher is?
Well, at this point, the way things are going, I think if we do require that, we're kind of asking for trouble. So we'll have staff out there with all of the students' names and their teachers. So they'll be able to, you know, get the child's name. Here's your teacher. Someone will be escorting them into the building. Alrighty. And of course, if you do have it, that's great too. Who does? Okay. I'm going to answer this question, then our school nurse has something to add. The first grade supplies says $30, and what's that going towards? So the thing that's different this year is the kids will not be sharing any materials, right? So we have to have a separate packet for each child. And so school supplies, we can't just do a bulk buy and let kids share, you know, in any of the classes, whether that be a specials or a classroom. So that money will go towards those kind of materials and supplies. That's what we're doing with that. And Misty Tanner.
Now I'm unmuted, sorry. So we have a question about quarantine. If a kiddo is sent home with, or sent home in quarantine, will the families that own businesses in town be required to close during that time? And I would say, first of all and foremost, we're going to pull public health in anytime we have, and our medical team, anytime we have a positive case in our school district. Based on, there's two different scenarios. If your student is sent home because their cohort needs to quarantine, but your student is not the student that has tested positive and your student is not the kiddo that has symptoms, then no, the rest of your family would not need to stop what their normal routine would be. However, someone is going to have to be home with that kiddo during that time frame. But if your student happened to be the student who tested positive, then of course that sets in motion its own quarantine guidelines. And again, public health would be responsible for contacting you and educating you on what you could and couldn't do in that scenario. There was also a question about if someone tests positive, staff or student, who would be notified? And just kind of touching base again on what Mr. McKenna said, this is something that's very close to my heart, but confidentiality and privacy for people is very important. And so we will, as best as possible, protect that, as we also need to notify the people who have been exposed to the positive staff member or student. So we will begin by convening that medical group, pulling in public health. We will identify based on who that student has been exposed to or who that staff member has been exposed to, who needs to be contacted. It's likely that we would let you know that there was a positive case. It's not likely that we would let anybody know who that was, whether it was staff or students. If I need to answer anything more about that, please use the chat box. Those were my questions to answer.
I'm going to touch on a couple other things that I've touched upon in previous, then we'll let Missy go back to some of the medical questions. We're going to ask each teacher to have a parent orientation Zoom meeting or call so that you have a chance to find out what's going on in your child's classroom. This is really different for us. We've always had the meet and greet where the kids come in and you get to meet the teacher and get yourself settled. This year is going to be different. It's just as simple as that. So we will be doing some orientation things. I'll be continuing. I'm going to offer these meetings every week for people to join up if they have questions or want to ask what we're doing from the office point of view. And the teachers will be reaching out to you as well. Our next meeting will be next Tuesday night because we'll get through that. I just want to make sure I can address things for people, you know, just before we start school and alleviate any fears. Let's see, that's one I wanted to touch on. There's been a couple calls about some of the children being anxious or worried to come into school, especially for some of our new families. And we're going to be really, really conscious of that. I think that's something the staff does very well, the teachers and the staff, of, you know, meeting the kids and finding out what's going on with them and supporting them. So if somebody comes to the school and they're having a hard time, we're gonna do everything we can to make sure that they feel supported and loved when they come in the building, and then give them attention through the day as needed. So that'll be happening. Yes, and Missy Tanner, back at it.
Back at it. So there was a question about vaccinations. Are they mandatory? Vaccinations need to be up to date, and that comes in different forms. One is an up-to-date immunization record for that child's age. But in Colorado, currently, there is a personal and a medical and a religious exemption. And so if you would like to have one of those exemptions on file, please either email me, and I'll put my email here in the chat box, or give me a call and I'll put my number in there as well and help you get those forms ready to go. But one of those two documents will need to be on file when school starts, please. That was mine to answer. I'm done.
It's like tag team. This is fun. Let me see. One of the things we're going to post, and I'm just going to review some of the ideas on it so that you'll know what to look for, is we're going to have our procedures and routines for this modified green that we're opening in posted. There will be a whole section on staff arrival. Keep in mind that our staff will have masks on all the time. The only time, again, that they won't is they can put on a face shield if they're doing full group instruction. So if they're in front of the class, I was going to slap my mask on, but I can't find it. So when they're in front of the class, they can have a face screen on that is clear so the kids can see their faces and their expressions. One of the things we recognize is that communication for our students and for your children, a lot of it is reading facial expressions. And so to the degree that we can allow that, we will. But again, they have to be masked if they're talking to any one or small group, right? That's something we're committed to. The staff arrival, it's going to, as Missy alluded to, that it's the same routines for them. We want them to be checking in on themselves and checking all their symptoms and everything, so that we're making sure they're staying safe as well. So the staff arrival, student arrival. For greetings, you might have noticed in that video, we can't hug, and we used to hug here a lot. And so we're going to be doing air hugs and air high fives and air knuckles, air high fives, elbow, air bump, those kind of things. And we're going to have fun with it and let the kids know we care just as much. But and again, if somebody gets carried away or we have a little one that needs attention, we're going to give them the attention they need. But that's going to be part of our routine. Let me see. We're going to have the routines that are used in the classrooms, in the hallways, during recess. We've already alluded to that. During lunchtime, we will be having hot lunch every day, starting right off the bat. And again, it's food cooked from scratch. Those guys do a wonderful job of providing a delicious meal every day, and that will be available as before. With a lot of safety precautions, the kids will be seated by grade level. Some of this is redundant, and yet sometimes that's not bad. So they're in a cohort, they stay in that cohort throughout the day, and there'll be fewer kids sitting around a table, right? So that's safer that way. They're not going to get in the lines like they used to. So they used to walk in there, get in a long line and help choose their food and then go sit down and eat it. And now they're just going to go in, they're going to be seated, the tray of food is set before them, they eat, they get up and leave, and the tray is taken away. So that, one of the good things about this is they're going to have more time to eat, which has been a concern for people over the years at different points. So that's a good thing that's happening. Lunch, we're still working on our, I get Missy back in a second. We're working on our bathroom routines. I think we had some creative ideas that came out for that. And our end of the day dismissal plan, and that's starting to come together, and we'll have that ready too. Missy.
So thanks for using the chat box. There was a clarification question. The question was actually in regards to COVID vaccinations and would those be mandatory? And the really long answer to that question is that that's a really long process. So stay tuned, but the legislation and state public health, there are lots of hands, CDC, there's lots of hands that go into a recommendation to make an immunization a requirement at the school level. It takes several years to make any changes to that schedule. And I think it's going to be several years until we see a really good recommendation for vaccine. So I'm not saying that's out of the question, but it certainly would be quite a long process to get to that end. So I hope.
All righty, we have a couple more questions that I can ask. I just got kicked out for some reason, but I was welcome back. That's good. Will the menu still be available like it has been in previous years? The answer is yes. We'll have those posted as before. Do all kids eat? Yes, they can bring a cold lunch. In other words, they bring their own lunch box, kind of a thing. They will be eating that with their classroom, of course. And they will have a lunch available if they'd like to get a lunch. Not lunch, or do some bring their own lunch? So some do bring their own lunch. We do have snack time. That is part of life in an elementary school. So that will be, your teacher will communicate how that's going to work in their different grade levels. And there we go. Next. The lunch for the first week has already been posted on the Facebook page. How about that? The wonder of social media. The first day schedule that we just ran through, is that posted somewhere? We will get that posted, doggone it, in terms of what the times will be when we dismiss. And again, I don't know that information quite yet, but hopefully we'll have a clearer picture tomorrow, and we'll get that posted. We are very aware that we're starting next Wednesday, and are we aware? So we're trying to just keep up with things and make sure we're as up to date and as safe and everything's as organized as we possibly can. So that's one of the things we're doing. I have caught up with questions. Let me see. Is there anything else anyone would like me to talk about? Just send a quick chat and I will jump into it.
Hi, Chuck. I asked in the chat box if the meeting notes can be posted online, just in case parents can't make the Zooms.
The answer is yes. So this is being recorded right now, and this will be posted for anybody that wants to watch it. And so what we'll do is when we send out the invitation for next Tuesday's meeting, it will also include the link to watch this meeting, and we'll make that a habit where you can always refer back to those email flashes, and it'll give you the link to the recorded meeting and the connection for the next meeting. And we'll continue to do that. So I hope that helps. So the teacher meetings, again, I just asked the teachers on their first day here to plan on some way of connecting with everybody in their class and briefing you on what to expect from them as a teacher and what the routines are. We are going to be starting the year. We thought we had a learning management system, which is an online program that we would use K-12 in the district, and it's not quite ready to roll out yet. So for those who were with us last year, we're going to be, the teachers will send you all the information you need, but the kindergarten first and second will be using Seesaw, which was the program we used last year in those grades, and the third and fourth will be using Google Classroom. I believe we're also going to offer a parent education online class to help you learn the technology you need to help your student, if your child, for heaven's sake, if they are home. If you are sent home on quarantine or the child has symptoms and they need to be sent home for that reason, we're going to continue to educate that child. So that'll be done through, the teachers will be in touch and talk about it. It'll probably take an extra day or so to get that organized, but we will be back in touch with you and let you know how we're going to follow through with that. And there's a quarantine cohort question. I guess Missy can answer that. Did you find that question, Missy, or should I just jump into a different one?
Go ahead and jump into another one while I read it to make sure I understand it correctly.
Okay.
Thank you.
Would you please repeat about wondering when the class lists are posted? That's obviously a question up for everybody, and we probably can't repeat that enough. So the plan is the online program is supposed to be committed to by the 16th, the first commitment we're asking for. At that point, we're going to form our class list based on who we know is going to be in the school face-to-face. If at this point you had expressed an interest in the online program, we don't have you on a class list. If you have decided that you want your child to be face-to-face in school with us, please call the office, and if you say that, that would be very helpful, because then we can get those lists together. So I hope that helps. So at this point, the class list will be posted on Monday the 17th or Tuesday the 18th, and we'll send out a message as to when that's going to happen. What is the final date to sign up for Salida Online? I think the way Amy Ward, our coordinator for the online, put it is the first deadline. I don't know, I guess I'm blanking on the term for that, is this Sunday. The sooner you can let us know what you're thinking, the sooner we can get organized. And Sunday night is the first deadline we're asking. Online school doesn't start till later. I think it starts around the 26th or 27th. So we will be starting live classes, person-to-person classes prior to that starting. Yes, Missy.
Okay, so I think I understand the question correctly. They're asking about how long would a cohort need to be quarantined if they were exposed to a positive case in their classroom. The answer is 14 days. And it's important during that time frame that you are really keeping that kiddo at home. So quarantine means at home, not being exposed to other students out in the community. That's really important. So if I did not answer that question, go back to the chat for me and I'll try and clarify again.
So the question that came in right after that is, I'm sorry if I was misleading. The superintendent did say that the online program, if you sign up for that, or if you homeschool for that matter, it's a semester commitment. And we're going to have another enrollment period at the end, when we come back just before Christmas, I would imagine, when it's going to happen, so that you can re-enter face-to-face. And I understand that, as you stated there in the message, that it would be preferable to be able to enter whenever you feel like it's safe enough for your child to re-enter. The catch with that for us as the teachers, it would make their life a little bit wild. And if we had people bouncing back and forth based on how things were looking, that would that offers some choices for you, but it also makes it very challenging for the teachers. So I hope that helps. The semester would end at Christmas. Keep in mind, Longfellow is on a trimester program in terms of our grades. The online program will be doing a standards-based system that we can integrate into what we do with the kids. So if you do that, the grade cards will mesh together. That's the plan for that. And so that would be when we get back from Christmas. I guess I can try to answer this. And when will the teacher meetings happen? So the teachers are going to be reaching out to you, and it's up to each grade level team. So I'm going to allow them to, encourage them to do it at as they're comfortable. So the fact that we're going to be in half days, that first 5 days, that might be a time that they'd be reaching out to in the afternoon or in the early evening, like this meeting has been. And that's going to be, the teacher will communicate when they're going to be having a meeting like that. And again, we're going to try really hard to just keep communicating as frequently as you can. So recognizing that it's been a very, very busy time, we're going to keep trying to do that as often as we can. Is the school checking out devices? So we are going to be using iPads for the kindergarten and first, and we're going to be using Chromebooks for the second, third, and fourth graders. At this point, we have enough devices to basically give, if we need to go online, every third and fourth grader gets a Chromebook assigned to them to take home if they have online work to do. They'll stay here otherwise. Second grade, we're close. We've ordered a lot of Chromebooks and a lot of iPads, and we even know where they are. They're sitting on boats outside the West Coast waiting to be allowed to dock so they can drop them off and ship them to us. And, I wish we could just drive to San Francisco and grab a boat and go out there and get them, but I don't think they're going to let us do that, to be honest with you. There seems to be a trade war of some kind. So that's what's going on with that. Some of our devices are stuck, and they were ordered on time, and they'll get here when they get here, and I'm not sure how that's going to happen or when. The parent orientation meetings, each teacher or each grade level is going to determine the best way to do that. Whether that be a Zoom meeting or they're going to try to reach out and talk to each parent. Again, if you just watch for the messages from them, you'll be hearing what their individual plan is. I think I've caught up again. I'll take a shot at something else. One of the things we are working on is how we're going to do breakfast. Generally speaking, we serve hot breakfast, but this first stage of getting everybody into the building safely and getting the new routines, we're going to be providing some kind of a breakfast, and how that's going to actually play out will depend on how many kids are actually looking for that. Our first assumption is if a child was receiving breakfast last year, we know who those are, and we'll make sure they have an opportunity to have breakfast. If you want your child to have a breakfast, you need to let us know that in advance. I would think that'd be helpful. Again, thank you. I mean, we've gone 50 minutes, and that's generally the kind of the time frame. And I appreciate once again all of you tuning in and trying to keep up on all the changes that are happening as they happen. We're getting really excited. It was fun to see everybody back, the staff, and let's do this. I mean, it was such a wonderful attitude of we can do this and we're going to do it well, and we're going to do that. And again, make the choice that's best for your family and let us know about what that might be as soon as you can feel comfortable doing that. It helps us with the planning and getting the class lists out. And thank you for your support. And again, if you have suggestions or ideas, send them to us. We're making this up as we go, and it's been quite a challenge. And again, it's just about keeping the kids safe and letting them know they're loved and getting them a good education. That's what we're going to try to do. So thank you. I'll stay on for another couple of minutes, but I thank you very much for attending.